One of the references to the number 7 from the ministry of Jesus Christ would be the number of letters that he wrote to the churches of Asia in Revelation 2 and 3. Good morning. This is Pastor Ernie Lewis of the Blue Point Church in Sisney, Illinois, with your thoughts for Thursday. Jesus is described in Revelation chapter 2 and verse 1 as the one who holds the 7 stars in his right hand, who walks among the 7 golden lampstands, showing his authority over the New Testament church. And he writes to the church at Ephesus, first of all, with encouragement about their works, their labor, their patience, and they could not bear those who were evil among them. But the Lord said, I have somewhat against you. You have left your first love. They were going through great motions, but there was no love. There was no passion for the Lord in his service. And I really think we need to examine our church when we read each of these letters to see, perhaps even our own hearts, is there some lack of motivation that we need in order to serve God with passion and with love? The second letter was written to the church at Smyrna. They had suffered tribulation and poverty and persecution. And the Lord called them to be faithful to death. He said, listen, I will give you the crown of life if you just continue despite these problems that you're facing. The third letter was written to Pergamos, who lived in a pretty evil environment. They had let in those who had followed sinful practices, and they had actually become a stumbling block to the church. They had actually practiced sexual immorality and eating things sacrificed to idols. So the Lord called for them to repent or else, because the church had compromised with the world and they were in danger of judgment from the Lord. The fourth letter was to Thyatira. The congregation had allowed someone in that they called Jezebel. Actually, she called herself a prophetess. But the problem was she had seduced God's servants. They were practicing sexual immorality, and they looked like the rest of the world around them. And Jesus threatens a great tribulation for this church unless they repent and they turn back to following him. The fifth letter was written to Sardis, and Jesus warned them that they looked alive, but they were actually lifeless, spiritually, of course. Jesus was calling for some strengthening among them so that they could get back to work. If they didn't revive those lifeless embers that were just glowing, God was going to come as a thief in the night and take away their lampstand. The sixth letter was written to Philadelphia. They were praised for their faithfulness. Actually, the Lord tells them that he was providing an open door for their church to minister for him in their city, to make a difference around them. Because they were faithful, God was giving them even greater opportunities. God even promised to preserve them from the hour of trial, he says, that others would soon be facing. Finally, he wrote to the church at Laodicea. Their problem was a lukewarm spirit. Jesus said, you're neither hot nor cold, but you're lukewarm. And because of that, I want to vomit you out of my mouth. I can't stand to have you around me. Their testimony was that they were rich and that they had need of nothing. But he actually describes them as wretched and miserable and blind and naked. They needed their eyes opened. I wonder sometimes if we're like that today, or the church for that matter, needs the Lord to wake us up. Perhaps all of us in our churches can see some of those warnings that apply to us, that we need to repent, we need to return to the Lord, and we need to get back to serving him with that fervor and that passion that we had when he was our first love.